to another live episode of the Alex Nitzberg Show. I'm Alex Nitzberg. Thank you for joining me on this episode. If you watch them regularly, I do them at 3:30 every Saturday, generally speaking. So you can join me next Saturday at 3:30 for another one. But thank you for joining me. And if you enjoy these shows, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on X, the platform previously known as Twitter. So today I'm going to be talking about the speakership race and also just everything that's going on. You know, obviously Kevin McCarthy has been ousted from his role as House Speaker. So let me go ahead and get started on that. So, and there's a reminder again, don't forget, if you enjoy these shows, please give it a thumbs up. So, yeah, Kevin McCarthy, a Republican representative from California, who was serving as Speaker since early January. He was, now, back in January, that was a mess. It took 15 rounds of voting until he was finally able to actually become Speaker. But he just got ousted this week. In fact, according to reports, it was the first time in U.S. history that the House has removed a speaker like that. So it was historic in that sense. Also, so here's the breakdown. This is the vote here. There were 8 Republicans who voted in favor of ousting McCarthy. They voted with 208 Democrats because, of course, the Democrats, I mean, basically, I think if you put up a vote to get rid of a Republican speaker, they're going to be like, sure. But anyway, yeah, so a bunch of Democrats voted with 8 Republicans. Now, this whole thing was instigated by Representative Matt Gaetz of Florida, a Republican. He basically was the one that got the ball rolling with his motion to vacate. And then when they actually voted on it, it was Gaetz and 7 other Republicans who did indeed vote to get rid of McCarthy. And also, if you look here, you can see that most of the Republicans, 210, voted against this. So 210 Republicans were voting in favor of keeping McCarthy in place. Only 8 voted to get rid of him. And there were 0 Democrats that voted against getting rid of McCarthy. So out of all the Democrats who voted, they all voted for getting rid of McCarthy. So here's the list of the people, the 8 Republicans who did vote to get rid of McCarthy. That would be Andy Biggs of Arizona, Ken Buck of Colorado, Tim Burchett of Tennessee, Eli Crane of Arizona, Matt Gaetz of Florida, who, like I mentioned, is the one who had instigated the whole thing, Bob Good of Virginia, Nancy Mace of South Carolina, and Matt Rosendale of Montana. Interestingly, you know, if you watched my show last week where I was talking about the 18 Republicans who voted like Democrats basically by voting against, okay, let me go over here. Chip Roy had this, here, you can see my title of this article, 18 House Republicans reject Chip Roy amendment to bar Pentagon appropriations from being used to observe Pride Month. So what that basically boils down to is Chip Roy had this amendment to, I believe it was the Defense Appropriations Bill, and the amendment would have said basically that none of this money can be used for the observance of Pride Month. So obviously, I mean, if you're conservative, why wouldn't you want to bar the Pentagon appropriations from being used to observe Pride Month? But 18 Republicans voted against that. Interestingly, Ken Buck and Nancy Mace, who I just mentioned, were 2 of the people that voted to get rid of McCarthy, were also 2 of the people who voted against this common sense amendment from Chip Roy that I think all conservatives should have voted for. So that's just, I think, noteworthy there that you've got, you know, one week they're doing something like voting against, blocking funding of Pride Month and the defense appropriations, and then boom, like a week later, you've got them voting to oust McCarthy. So, yeah. All right. Also, there's a picture of them. That's Kim Buck, and that is Nancy Mace, in case you're not sure who they were. Let me see here. Oh dear, I just realized that I do not have my comments up on here. Let me see. How do I see that? There we go. All right. Oh, I think I just got another I got 2 thumbs up and 1 thumbs down. You know, it's interesting. When you're on YouTube, this has nothing to do with the news, by the way, but when you're on YouTube, you know, you used to be able to see thumbs up and thumbs down, and now you can only see thumbs up. But for some reason on this software that I use to live stream, I can actually see thumbs up and thumbs down. So if you hate this show, you can also give it a thumbs down, and I will actually probably see that while I'm on the live stream software. Afterwards, when I get off, I probably won't see it anymore. But, you know, I prefer thumbs up. But hey, you know what? Give it a thumbs down if you don't like it. All right, so here is Kevin McCarthy, and I know announcing. Oh yeah, I didn't say that. So after he gets ousted, by the 8 Republicans and all those Democrats, he announced that he's not even going to run again.
I will not run for Speaker again. I'll have the conference pick somebody else.
So that's interesting. He's not even going to try and get back into the speakership. He just announced he's not running for Speaker again. So now we have Steve Scalise, who is currently the House Majority Leader, he's going to be running, and also Jim Jordan from Ohio. Steve Scalise is from Louisiana. So Jim Jordan and Steve Scalise have both mounted bids for the speakership to fill that slot now that McCarthy's gone. Steve Scalise has been battling cancer. He announced a little bit earlier this year that he has this cancer, and what is it called? It's called multiple myeloma. But he did announce a little while ago that he had been getting treated, and it seemed like it was working and stuff. So that's good. I think he said the chemotherapy was helping, so that's good. But yeah, that's something about him. Also, in case you didn't remember, he's the guy that survived getting shot. I believe it was in 2017. At that congressional baseball practice, and he was shot, and he survived that. So he's survived being shot. Now he's dealing with cancer, and now he's running for speaker. Here's Jim Jordan. Now, Trump has endorsed Jim Jordan. He's got this statement he put out on Truth Social, and at the bottom he says he will be a great Speaker of the House and has my complete and total endorsement. So Trump's backing Jim Jordan. Chip Roy's backing Jim Jordan. He said I proudly endorse him for Speaker of the House of Representatives, so that's Chip Roy. And then Thomas Massie is also backing Jim Jordan. So, yeah, you can leave a comment below and let me know. Between Scalise and Jordan, do you have a preference on who you would want to be Speaker? So there's that. And I would probably go with Jordan, but I can't say I know like a lot about Steve Scalise or anything, but I would probably pick Jim Jordan between the two of them. So who would you pick? And is there someone else that you would pick besides them? See, if I could pick, I'd probably go with like Thomas Massie or Chip Roy or something like that, but they're not running and they're both backing Jim Jordan. So, now here, Thomas Massie said the conference vote for Speaker of the House is on Wednesday, and he's got up a poll asking people who they want. So I assume that means that the Republicans will be gathering together and voting. I mean, eventually they're going to have a whole House vote, with the Democrats, but obviously the Democrats will just vote for Hakeem Jeffries, and they're not going to vote for the Republicans. So it's really up to the Republicans to get together and have enough agreement in their conference that they can all pick somebody and put them in. So I guess on Wednesday, I'm assuming this is like the closed door thing where they get together or whatever, so you can keep an eye on that and see what ends up happening with that. Also, Senator Rand Paul, who doesn't obviously get to vote because he's in the Senate, not the House, but he said there are big differences in the race for Speaker regarding fiscal responsibility and aid to Ukraine. We need to stop funding other countries' wars and fix our fiscal mess. One candidate for Speaker agrees. If I were voting for Speaker, Jim Jordan would have my enthusiastic vote. So, yeah, Chip Roy, Thomas Massie, Rand Paul, probably, my favorite lawmakers that I'm aware of in Congress are all backing Jim Jordan. So, yeah, so that's that. Also, just going to mention this statement from President Biden on the passage of the, I think it was that continuing resolution. Anyway, down here, if you look at the bottom of this is for the government funding, to keep the government funded and stuff. He says, this is Biden, we cannot under any circumstances allow American support for Ukraine to be interrupted. So, yeah, I mean, we've got people on both sides of the political aisle. It seems like there's a divide with Republicans on the Ukraine aid, whereas with Democrats, they're probably just more for it. But, yeah, he's saying that we cannot under any circumstances allow American support for Ukraine to be interrupted. And then here's a Democrat, Senator Michael Bennet of Colorado, saying that he would be willing to force a government shutdown if Ukraine aid basically is not included in the government funding, measures. So let me show you that.
I hope it doesn't come to that, but if it does, I certainly will be willing to shut the government down over this issue.
So that's a yes, Senator. You said it.
Oh, it's giving me an ad. Sorry about that. We'll skip it in a second.
I hope it doesn't come to that, but you would be willing to shut down the government.
I hope it doesn't come to that. I think the stakes are high enough that may be, if that's what's required, we'll have to do what's required.
Well, that's significant.
So, yeah, we have a Democrat senator saying that he would be willing to have a government shutdown over funding Ukraine. So, yeah, ridiculous. I mean, completely ridiculous. I am against the funding of Ukraine stuff. I don't think it's really, why does the U.S. need to get involved with that? Now, on the other hand, I feel a little bad saying that because I'm sympathetic toward the situation with the Ukrainians. Obviously, they're fighting. If the U.S. was invaded, we would want, we'd want to fight back. So I can see where they want to fight back. And if we needed help, I'm sure we'd want help. But from my perspective, The U.S. is like $33 trillion in debt. We have inflation. We have just stuff going on here. We don't need to be sending money to Ukraine. Also, if you think about it, us giving them money is kind of prolonging the war, because if we stop giving them money, they would probably just end up having to, stop fighting and surrender. Maybe if Europe was still funding them, they could keep fighting. But it's just like, we're funding people on both sides dying, and I just don't think it's a good use of our money. I think we should keep the money here and not be sending it over there. Let me know what you think about that. All right, so also on the speakers thing, Trump has said that he would actually be willing to serve as speaker temporarily, like if the Republicans can't get it together and pick someone that they can agree on to put through as speaker. This is on Fox News website. It says, he said, if they don't get the vote, they have asked me if I would consider taking the speakership until they get somebody longer term, because I am running for president. They have asked me if I would take it for a short period of time for the party until they come to a conclusion. I'm not doing it because I want to. I will do it if necessary, should they not be able to make their decision, Trump said. So that's interesting. I don't think it'll really happen. And like I said, Trump is backing Jim Jordan. I think that Jim Jordan or Steve Scalise will probably win. I would be kind of surprised with the backing of Trump if Jordan isn't able to, pull out the win. I think he probably will be able to win. But that would just be like really interesting if Trump became speaker. Now, I've talked about on the show, I think that DeSantis would be a better president than Trump and stuff. But like entertainment value, like as Trump as speaker, that would be probably super entertaining to write about, to watch, to talk about. It would be interesting. So I kind of actually hope it happens, because it would just be really interesting. but I think Jim Jordan's probably going to get it. So we'll see what happens. So if you had to pick, would you rather have Trump or Jordan or Scalise or somebody else? You can let me know in the comments what you think about all that. This guy, Kevin Hearn, actually said that he's not running. So yeah, never mind on him. He said he's not going to run for speaker. So he's out, not running. All right, so here's something ridiculous. CPAC is having a summit in Las Vegas. They're having this event where they're going to have RFK Jr., Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a Democratic presidential candidate, at this event. So they're having him among the people at the event. It says, today CPAC announces presidential candidates Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Vivek Ramaswamy and other key influencers to speak at the CPAC Investor Summit to Save America in Las Vegas, Nevada. This event will bring together, and notice the irony here, will bring together the most important voices in the conservative movement who stand for American values and freedom. Well, obviously RFK, who's running as a Democrat, is not part of the conservative movement. I don't think a group that's, supposed to be having conservative conferences that cater to conservatives should be inviting Democrats. They've had Tulsi Gabbard at their events in the past, and she, previously served as a Democrat representative from the state of Hawaii. She's not in Congress anymore. But yeah, I think this is dumb. I don't think that a conservative group that's billing itself as having these conservative conferences should be inviting Democrats. I understand that some Republicans like certain things about RFK, maybe his stance on vaccines or whatever, and that's fine. I mean, it's not like it's bad to necessarily agree with a Democrat on something, but I don't think you should invite them to your conference when it's like a conservative conference. So yeah, that's happening. Also, this is ridiculous. As you can see here, we have the Interior Secretary, Deb Haaland, standing with a drag queen known as Patagonia. So she posted, Haaland has this video that says, to celebrate LGBT History Month, I joined outdoor advocate and climate movement icon Patagonia to discuss how places like Stonewall, I think it's like, what is this? The Stonewall National Monument, help tell our country's full and honest story. So yeah, we have a cabinet member, okay, she's in the presidential cabinet, making a video with a drag queen. Yeah, that's what we've got right now with the Biden administration going on. And by the way, if you look at this Patagonia person, look, professional homosexual, queer environmentalist. So yeah, that's what the Biden administration's got going on. We got the Interior Secretary posting videos. That earns a big old facepalm right there. So, all right, this is both ridiculous and funny. So Nikki Haley posted this photo and said, after a day of campaigning, this is the message waiting for me outside my hotel room. And it's a bird cage with this like bird food here. It says from Trump campaign, and apparently it really was reportedly from the Trump campaign, because this guy Mark Caputo from the outlet The Messenger, he put out this photo, also a different photo of the same thing, and he said at 1:30 a.m. and this is a while ago here, but it says he posted this on October 1st. At 1:30 a.m. the Trump camp texted me the birdcage and feed photo in front of Haley's Des Moines hotel door. And he said, after I woke up, we posted a story about it on the Messenger. And so anyway, yeah, he's confirming that the Trump camp texted him. So yeah, it looks like the Trump campaign left a birdcage. And now why is that going on? Okay, well, that's happening because Trump has been referring to Nikki Haley as Bird Brain. You know how he nicknames people. Sometimes his nicknames seem really apt, but sometimes not so much. In fact, I feel like this cycle, Meatball Ron, like for Ron DeSantis, that doesn't really seem like a great nickname. DeSanctimonious, I think if you're going to call someone sanctimonious, I would go with Mike Pence. But, so anyway, he's been calling Nikki Haley Bird Brain Nikki Haley. And so I think that's where that came from. So that's what that's about there. And one more funny thing to note before I go, and I'll check to see if anybody left any comments about anything. So if you want to leave a comment about anything, leave it there now because I'm almost done. But I read this is a ridiculous story here. U.S. Customs and Border Protection destroyed giraffe poop that a person had planned to turn into a necklace. And you're like, what? Yeah, there's literally a press release over here on the CBP website. Unusual repurpose of giraffe feces seized by Minnesota. So it says here, U.S. Customs and Border Protection agriculture specialists at Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport inspected a small box containing giraffe fecal material. On September 29th, the passenger returning from Kenya arrived at MSP and was selected for inspection by CBP agricultural specialists. The passenger declared giraffe feces and stated she had obtained the droppings in Kenya and planned to make a necklace. What? I'm adding the what. That's not in the press release. Press release continues. It says, the passenger also stated in the past she had used moose feces at her home in Iowa. Agricultural specialists seized the box and the excrement was destroyed via steam sterilization per United States Department of Agricultural Destruction Protocol. So things you thought you would never read or that you never thought about reading because it's so bizarre. And there's a picture. I mean, just file that under super weird. Hilarious and weird. Weird that she's trying to bring giraffe poop back into the U.S., but also incredibly weird that she's going to make a necklace out of it. I thought that was funny and bizarre. I thought you guys might get a kick out of that because it's so crazy. So, yeah. So that's it. That is it for me today. All right, no comments. So I'll just say thank you all for watching this episode of the show. And join me next Saturday at 3:30 for another episode. And I will see you then. Have a great rest of your weekend. Bye-bye. Oh, and wait. Before I go, also, I'll just say, if you haven't followed me on X, the platform previously known as Twitter, please do that. And like and subscribe on this channel. Thank you. Bye-bye.